I pivoted so much from a bunch of different losses. And again, it's all such a risk. But I think what just really propelled me to do it is just knowing this feeling that you are called to do something higher and better than where you came from.
Hi, I'm Natalie Mullen, former people pleaser and queen of doing way too much, turned holistic life coach and wellness educator for purpose seeking women of color and allies. Welcome to From a Full Cup. On this podcast, I teach you how to use the 12 pillars of wellness to discover your purpose, uplevel your well being, and create the life of your dreams because we all deserve to be fulfilled, and you simply can't pour from an empty cup. Through candid conversations, insightful interviews, and motivational nuggets, you'll feel inspired, empowered, and supported as together we navigate this thing called life, holistically and with your well being at the center. If you're committed to personal development and you're ready for more, you're in the right place. Now let's get started. I am so excited for you guys to tune into this conversation today. I am speaking with Lola Dominguez. She's the founder and chief creative officer of fashion brand Domivis. Let me tell you, I didn't know what to expect from this conversation when Lola reached out, but the gems that are dropped in this conversation, it was so much fun listening to it again as I was editing it. And I think that you are going to really enjoy it. I just really take away some nuggets in this conversation of careers and passion and purpose and chasing your dreams and the struggles along the way. Lola is incredibly transparent and so wise. And I just can't wait for you to hear this conversation. Hi, everyone, and welcome to From a Full Cup. Today, I have with me Lola. I am so excited to get into this conversation. Lola, welcome to the show.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually really excited to be here and so excited to be on your podcast. I love what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Lola, I'd just like to start with the This Filled My Cup segment. I'd love for you to share what your feedback was on one of the episodes and why it stood out to you.
What really fills my cup is the off the cuff rambles. I love that inner dialogue, inner monologue style podcast. My favorite was how your career does not equal your purpose. As someone who's currently navigating a career change, I really resonated with the idea that your identity is not determined by a particular role. It was very validating. In general, I find that purpose goes beyond a particular task or job or role, and it's in those bigger picture things like helping people, serving people, influencing people. And those are things that can be done in a variety of careers in a variety of different ways. So I absolutely loved how you touched on being separate from your career and your identity and your purpose being within yourself.
I love what you do, and we're just going to dig right into it. I know we had chatted earlier before, and we were talking about this idea of pursuing multiple interests. And a lot of people can't do that. It's not that easy. So I want you to share a little bit about some of the different interests that you are pursuing and how have you been able to figure out a skill set that would support you in doing these things?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I feel like I'm a jack of all trades. I do a lot of different things. And I think that actually kind of goes back to my background in marketing and what I was doing for like 6 years. I started in marketing when I was in college. I was doing an internship where I was working for a startup technology company. And if you know anything about working for a startup, it's all hands on deck. You are doing a little bit of everything. You're like wearing a lot of hats. But I loved it. I just loved being able to try all these different things and have my hands in creative things and analytical things and technical things. So it was something I was really enjoyed and was really passionate about. And now that I am essentially transitioning careers, like with my own business and moving into the fashion industry, I am juggling a totally new industry, a bunch of totally new roles as an entrepreneur, or as a startup myself, and my full time work within marketing. And for me, I think it's just been a matter of really focusing on these transferable skills, looking at the things that I can take with me in all the projects that I'm working on, all the things that I'm doing, and really making it a point to work smarter, not harder, whenever I can. I think it's also just been important that I've picked things that I genuinely enjoy and have passion for, because I think that makes it a lot easier to keep going too.
Absolutely. That's such a that's such an important point because a lot of times people are chasing things and they're doing things that they don't even want to do. Like they're doing things that their family said that they should do or that their teacher said that they should do or just something that, maybe it's a good paying job. They were looking on the internet. They're like, "Okay, this pays well. Let me go do it." But then after a while you start to get drained because you don't like what you're doing. Now, you can even get drained in a job that you're passionate about too, that you really love. So I do want to make that difference. But what you said is so important because if you have the joy, if you have the interest, at least it can give you more momentum, especially when you're running on low, to still want to keep going because it's genuinely in alignment for you.
Yeah, it's like on the days where I'm juggling, I have my full time job, I have a part time client that I also do marketing for, and I'm running my business. So I'm working three jobs. And on those days where there's just so much on my plate, I have to just go back and remember my why, right? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I choosing to work three jobs? It's because I want to get as much skills and experience as I can before I become a full time entrepreneur. It's because I want the extra income to help fuel my business, which is my ultimate passion that I feel is connected to my purpose. Why am I working these long hours after my full time job for, my job? Because I feel like that's what I'm called to do. I think just really staying in touch with why and the passion behind it also really helps when my plate is full, and it's a good reminder to myself and motivator to myself of this is why you're doing it. Like, see the bigger picture, feel the bigger picture, don't forget that.
No, I love that. And something you mentioned at the end about when your plate is full. What is it like for you to recognize that your plate is full, and what do you do in that moment once you've become aware of it?
Yeah, so I am a to-do list person. Okay, like, I if it's not on my calendar or my to-do list, it's not happening. So I love to like physically have a to-do list, whether it's like in Asana or a project management platform or just like on a sheet of paper, on a whiteboard. I like to just sit down and just have something visual to look at. That helps me kind of dissect, wow, look how many hours I have available today, knowing my mental capacity also, what the hours I woke up with, like, looking at things like that and then looking at the physical to-do list and comparing them, that really helps me a lot. I know that I woke up at this time today. I have 4 hours of free time in between work and my rest time this evening, but I have 25 tasks, and each task is minimum 15 minutes. The math isn't mathing.
Right.
Right? I told myself that, yeah, this is not feasible for today. Pick which 3 or 4 tasks you feel like you can achieve in this time frame, and let's start there. Let's start with those. And that really helps me a lot because that, like, it is a literal, physical, tangible, visual way for me to see your plate is full. Look at the task that you have. Look at how much time these tasks are going to take, and look at how many hours you actually have in the day to get these things done. So that's one way that just really helps me understand my plate is full. Another way is really how I'm feeling. I get really in tune with just my own emotions. I start feeling very irritable, or I start feeling frazzled, brain fog. I start feeling like maybe even a little like stressed or tense, and just having the body awareness and the mental awareness of, ooh, like something is wrong, like something is off. I'm feeling stretched thin, I'm feeling stressed. It's like I get a notification or an email and I'm just immediately, I'm irritable, like leave me alone. Like I want to roll my phone, like you're going on D&D right now. Like those things I think are also just triggers for me to help me understand and be aware that you're not okay right now. Like something is off. Like let's come and figure out like where we can relieve some of that stress and some of that tension.
Yeah, no, I love both of the things that you said, and I'll start with the second one because I think the mind body connection is so important and it's so powerful if we can really tap into it. And sometimes we're not picking up that our body is actually giving us clues. It's giving us signals of
Yeah.
slow down. This doesn't feel good. I'm uncomfortable, right? So when you talk about even the way we react to people, like if we're snapping, I realize that for myself too. If I'm just snapping, and listen, I have a short fuse sometimes, and I'll just be like, ah, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, I have to check myself and be like, why am I doing this? And you're right. It's like I probably have too much going on, or I feel overwhelmed and I just need to take a
Yeah.
break. I need to pause, and I might have to remove something from my schedule. And that really relates to what you were talking about in the first point. And I like that idea. It's funny, I just started using Asana maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I'm loving it so
I
far.
love Asana.
But when you put all your tasks down that you have to do, that's such a good, quick way. You're right. To just look and be like, wait, I'm doing the most. I'm not
Yeah.
Superwoman. I've got to stop. And thinking about not just how many things you have to do, but as you're right, do the math. How long is it going to take you to do those things? And if those tasks are taking 5 hours and you've got 3 hours of time, then you're operating out of alignment. And so you're going to have to just either move something to the next day, or it's just got to go, or you've got to outsource it, right? So then you have to figure out, what do I do, because I can't do it all.
Yes, outsourcing and delegation, I realized when I became an entrepreneur, is like one of the highest forms of self care. I didn't
Absolutely.
realize just how therapeutic it is to be able to like turn to a team member and say, can you help me with this? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, sometimes that's really hard to do, especially when, you're a creative or you're super passionate about what you're doing, when you're an entrepreneur or even as a manager, right? When you're so passionate about something, sometimes it's hard to want to like give something up or give a piece of the task away. But it's one of the most therapeutic things that you can do. And, of course, you operate with people that also understand your vision, who are genuinely going to help support you and help you do it in the way that is best for you, and they're looking out for your best interest. But it's just amazing when you can have a support system of some kind, whether it's a friend, a freelancer, anyone that can just take some things off of your plate. I learned that the hard way, I think, by trying to do everything myself and realizing like you are absolutely not capable of being the everything. And I learned that especially in my business. You can't be the face of the brand, the marketing person, the designer, the creative director, the financial, the legal, like big companies, corporations, and people that are successful. They all have teams behind them, and they're able to effectively delegate. And again, just one of the highest forms of self-care. So I'm just glad that you said outsource.
Yeah. So tell me, what's one of the favorite parts of your business that you're happy to outsource now?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of the technical stuff actually. So when I'm even thinking about designing a new collection or designing just clothes and things in general, I'm not the most technical person because my background, my degree is in public relations. My background is 6 years in marketing. Everything I know about the fashion industry has been self-taught through experience and through the industry. So sometimes I get really bogged down in the small details or things. I'm get really stressed out when I'm looking at like a fabric. I'm like, oh my God, is this a good quality? Is that a good, looking at little things like that. And I have to take a minute and step back and say, wait a minute, I can go ask someone that's an expert. And like sometimes if
Mhm.
it's not a physical person, I can go ask the internet. There's YouTube videos, someone else who went through this already. Let me go find some help. Let me not put this on myself. So a lot of the technical things in design, I'm so grateful for my team, like my manufacturer, the seamstresses that I work with. One thing that I'm so happy to be able to delegate because that's a really big part of the business and the fashion itself is the construction of the clothes. And if I had to sit down and sew all these clothes myself by hand and still try to do the marketing and the legal and the financial and run my internship program and show up for appearances, I would lose my mind.
And I think that even in life, outsourcing can be helpful, right? Like even small things like maybe not picking up the groceries and getting Instacart to help you out sometimes,
Yes.
right? Or just getting a babysitter if you have kids to help you out. Like just different things that we can do. And it might not be all the time, but sometimes you just need help outside of yourself. And it doesn't have to be paid help. It could be asking a friend, can you come over and help me do XYZ? Or it can just, as you said, like leaning on technology, chat gpt, can you help me with this work I got to do, because I don't have the capacity. And I think it's really empowering for our own selves if we can recognize what our bandwidth is, what our capacity is, because sometimes we are just wasting time. Like we'll spend so much time doing something because it's not our zone of genius, like it's not what we really know. But if we just leaned into somebody else who did know it, we would do it in 2 seconds. So it's just faster and easier to just outsource some of these things to other people so we can focus on the part that we're actually good at.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I also think I had to check my own ego. And sometimes we want to be really good at something and we're just not. And we try so hard because it's like we almost want to prove to ourselves that you can do it and you just want to do it so bad. And like you said, we end up wasting so much time. And so it was just like an ego check moment of realizing, like, this is where your strengths are. These are the things that come easily and come naturally to you. These are the things that you can really put your effort and energy into flawlessly and seamlessly. Focus on those things. Like, it's okay. And for me, I was like, I want to learn how to sew so bad. And I got in my classes and in front of my sewing machine, and it takes time. It absolutely so. And again, it was an ego check of saying, like, Lola, no one will care if you yourself hand sewed these clothes, these garments. They're going to look at the final products and they're going to respect the artistry, the creativity, the meaning behind it, like all of these things. No one is going to care whether you were up all night or you had someone helping you sew this. So again, an ego check moment for me was saying, put your energy, your efforts where they're better served, into a bomb photo shoot, a bomb marketing campaign, because that's your wheelhouse. That's where you belong, not in front of a machine struggling with the bobbins. So, yeah.
What I love there is that you know what you're good at, because the only way for this to work, you've got to be able to figure out what do you do best so that you know what to give to somebody else, right? And so sometimes people are dibbling and dabbling in all of it because they haven't even identified, like, this is my core strength. And so self-awareness is so important when we're thinking about wellness in general, but when we're thinking about our mindset, when we're thinking about careers, how do we leverage those skills? We've got to be able to identify, this is what I'm good at. This is what can help me move the needle forward in my life. And then you put the attention there and you let everybody else help support your vision. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you now, you like marketing, even it's your work. It's not your passion, but I think you're okay with marketing. Is that a right way of explaining it?
Yeah, so I guess the way I would describe it is, conceptually, I love marketing. I love advertising. I love curating. In general, I would consider myself like just a creative and artist. And I love this creative direction space. And so when I think about marketing, the parts of marketing I love the strategy. I love the curation. I love the psychology that goes into the buyer and consumer behavior. What I don't love is being a Facebook ads manager every day, is in the back end of Google ads, is spreadsheets and reporting and all of the tedious everyday little task and grunt work, so to speak, is the part that, yeah, no, I'm not so crazy about that. And that's not what I want my everyday to be. But I do love in general, just some of those bigger pieces that kind of allow me to balance the creativity with the logic. And so it's one of those things where I'm passionate about it, but I think that my passion really comes from being able to operate in a place that aligns with my personal value. You know, it's funny because I was actually talking to one of my best friends, and she was out of work for a while and she was looking for a marketing job. And she was telling me how she was applying to these different places, and she had applied to corporations, even like Coca-Cola and things like that. And she ended up taking another job that was a smaller company, and it was about investing. And she says, you know, Lola, I'm actually like really happy here, and I'm glad that I took this job instead, because she was like, you know, I was so hell bent on working for this big corporation that I didn't even think if it aligned with my personal values. She was like, I don't even drink soda. I, try to stay away from high fructose corn syrup and different things like that. Like, even though it could have been the best job ever, it's not aligned with my actual personal values. So would I have actually been like great at it versus here, I love investing and was working to become like a financial influencer. And so this is something she's passionate about. And sure, it's a very small company, but she gets to operate out of a place of happiness because her ideas and her creativity is flourishing because she's doing it in a place that makes her feel good. And that's just exactly how I feel is I love the conceptual part of marketing, but it's not just about the task and the work and the career, but where I'm doing it and who I'm doing it for and how I'm using my skills, right? And I think that is a big part of differentiating between like the passion part of it and the job part of it.
Whew, whew, man, say that all again. That right there. I could just end this right now. That right there was a whole entire word. Operating in alignment. If there is one thing that I am passionate about, it is about people operating in authentic alignment for them. And the story that you shared about your friend is so beautiful. And I'm so happy that she made that choice because let me tell you, most people don't make that choice. Most people are at Coca-Cola collecting Coca-Cola money, okay, and miserable and absolutely miserable. And I want more people to feel confident to make choices that go against what society would say, go against what your family and friends might think is best, and be true to your own self. It's one of my most favorite quotes is to thine own self be true. Know what you want, know how you want to feel, and then find a way to make those align and make decisions that are going to support that, what you want to feel. Right? So for you, if you like this, the conceptual part of marketing, it's like you put yourself in places where you can tap into those interests, where you can tap into those skills. If you're going to be in a place that's just going to burn you out and you never get to do the parts of the job that you really enjoy, you never get to be intellectually stimulated and challenged and have that dopamine effect that comes because you're doing something that truly excites you, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, why? Because it can't just be about the money. It has to be like we want to be fulfilled in life. There are so many people who have money and just no fulfillment. They're just searching day after day, month after month. They're just going through the motions. And we all know that life is short. It's not guaranteed. We're all going to die at some point. So for the time that we're here, can we live a thriving life? Can we be joyful? Can we be making an impact for others? And can we serve from a place where we feel truly invigorated? What's it like to be invigorated? I think so many of us, we disconnected from that. And it seems like you've really found that kind of harmony between the job and the passion. So tell me now, how were you able to step from the job into your passion now, which is in the fashion industry? I'd love to hear more about that.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about those transferable skills. I'm honestly, big picture, I am grateful that I had to spend these 6 years in marketing and learning everything that I have. I'm so grateful for the experience that I got working for startups because now I am a startup and I have learned a lot about what to do and also what not to do. Even now, when I'm a manager in my regular marketing role and in my role as the leader of my company, I learned about management from good managers and bad managers from my experience. So I'm really glad that I'm able to take all of that knowledge and bring it into what I'm doing now. For me, I think the transferable skills also being in marketing, working for startups, things about how to pivot when things go wrong. One of the biggest skills that I probably could have ever learned. I mean, because when you're a business owner and when you're chasing your passion in general, when you're an artist, things go wrong. And just in life, things go wrong. But that was a skill that I learned from my marketing work. Consumer behavior, psychology, how to interact with people, all of these things, these are skills that I learned in my marketing roles that are now helping me thrive in my business. And so instead of looking at it as, wow, I wasted 6 years in this career, I'm thinking about, wow, I got 6 years of experience that I can now apply towards my new career and in this transition that I'm doing based on what I know, even though I would never had a high fashion client in my 6 years of marketing. I worked in e-commerce. I worked in B2B. Those are the same relationships that I am working with every day. Direct to consumer, talking to my potential customers. B2B, when I'm talking with retailers or wholesalers or industry people. All of those skills, I can now say, wow, what did I learn from when I used to work at this other place that I can apply now? And so I think that's a big thing, is that a lot of people feel like when they're making a career change, they get stressed out because they're like, wow, I'm so behind. I wasted time. You didn't waste time. There was something that you learned in the role that you're doing that you can take to where you're going. Whether you were a cashier or you worked at Domino's Pizza, you learned something from how to answer a phone, how to talk to people that you can use and where you plan on going next. It can even be a source of inspiration for you, and you may not even know it. I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to just choose to see those skills and to see those things and want to apply them instead of kind of getting down on yourself and feeling like you wasted time, because that like limiting mindset is just going to keep you behind.
I couldn't have said it better. And that there is no lie about the startup world, okay? The startup world is changing every minute, okay? I now work in a startup company and I'm like, oh wow, okay. Sometimes what you hear in the morning and what you hear in the afternoon, the game has changed. And then you come back the next day and you're like, oh, we're not still doing that. Okay, cool, no problem. But the power of a pivot, if you as a person can learn to pivot in different situations, you will be so much better off at it. You will be able to handle whatever comes your way, whether it's good, whether it's bad. You just know how to not get knocked down. And so when you talk about transferable skills, because, you know, there's such a push for entrepreneurship. Oh, start your own business and oh, be your own boss. And that's all great and dandy. If that's in alignment for you, you go for it. But if you've been a boss and you weren't a good employee, you're going to have a hard time. Okay.
Absolutely.
There are, just as you said, there are lessons to learn. And so a lot of us, we're not grateful. Let's just say you want to be your own boss and you're working for somebody else right now. You might be, you know, in a place of bitterness, like, I don't like my boss. Oh, I don't want to be at this company. Yada, yada, yada. You're really getting paid to learn. See it as that. What are you learning? What experiences can you gather while you're there that they can pay you for? Okay. And you use it to your advantage. And when it is time for you to go, you go full. You take all the lessons, all the knowledge, all the experiences, all the skills, the contacts, everything, and you apply it to the next thing. Right. And so I love that you said that you're grateful for these 6 years you've been in marketing, because that's the right way to look at it. Be grateful, for the paycheck, but not just the paycheck. The paycheck's good, but not just the paycheck. Grateful for the interactions, for the lessons, for the opportunities, for the space to make mistakes, for the space to grow and learn and try new things. And even as you said, you learn from people so that when you become your own leader for your own company, you get ideas. This is how I want to lead. And no, I'm not showing up like how that person showed up because I don't like how they treated me. I'm going to make sure I don't do that with my own team. Yeah. Right. So I think transferable skills, sometimes we put ourselves in a box or we think it has to directly match. Like if I go to this job and then I go to another job, it has to be the exact same job. And those skills are lateral and across. But that's not what it means. Transferable skills really means the skills you're taking, you can find a way to benefit, to make them work wherever it is that you're going. Right. It's the creativity comes because it's something you've learned deep within you. So I think that's really important. And along these lines, I'm curious to know, what would your definition of success be then? Because we have these transferable skills. You're in transition right now, right? You have something on the left, but you got something on the right that you're working towards and that you're heading in that direction. So what does success look like for you along this journey?
That's a really hard question. A really hard question. But as I sit here, I think about right now just memories of what is the time I felt successful. I think they all go back to like a feeling of completion. And what I mean by that isn't just like I completed this task or I pulled something off, which in those moments I feel damn successful. Like, look at what we did, like what we accomplished. But a feeling of completion and not just the task or the project itself, but like a self-fulfillment. Like I feel complete. I pulled something off that gave me a sense of fulfillment. I feel happy. I feel proud of myself. I feel like resilient or confident. Like, just I feel complete. I feel like there was nothing more. And even in the times where it's like I did something and it didn't come out 100% perfect, right? You know, and I can, of course, sit down with my team and debrief and be like, this one wrong, that. But a feeling of just the holistic completion of look at what I did, look at where I came from, what I accomplished, and how it made me feel. And I think that that for me is what I would define as success these days, is just feeling complete in what I do. Because there's also, you know, there's a difference in completing a task and just feeling complete, if that makes sense. You know, I complete tasks every day. I check things off my checklist every day. But there are some days where at the end of the day, I feel complete. I feel like, wow, today I was productive, I was creative, I was happy. I feel complete. And that is what makes me feel very successful.
I love that answer. I think those things that we can just be proud of ourselves for, like at our core, like our DNA, how we're operating, detached from the productivity of something. Because I think society wants us to say, oh, well, you earned these many rewards, or you accomplished this many tasks, or you earned this much money. But if we strip all of that away, you're left with yourself. So can you look in the mirror and just say, you know what? I love you and I'm proud of you. What that relationship looks like is what I'm hearing you say is really about success.
Absolutely. Literally, I sit down at like the end of my days, right? When I'm like, I've had a wonderful day, I've had a great day, even not a bad day. I sit down, I have dessert every night, whether it's just wine or like a piece of dark chocolate, because it's my way of just saying, you were successful today. I don't do it as like, oh my God, Lola, you cannot have a glass of wine if you didn't finish all your tasks from work. Oh, you can't, you know, have your treat. No, the moment I'm wrapped up with my day, I get in the bed and I'm like, you survived the day. That was successful. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you as just like a human being, you were complete enough that you made it through your day, that you're still breathing, that you, whatever you accomplished today and whatever you looked on the table today, that's okay. But I'm treating myself. I'm going to have a dessert and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to reaffirm to myself, like, today was successful. No matter what the heck the day looks like, I'm going to have my dessert.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
No, that eat your dessert, girl.
Yeah.
Eat you deserve it. You eat your dessert and you enjoy it, okay? So, Lola, for my final question before we go into rapid fire, I want to know, some people feel torn between choosing their career job and pursuing a passion. And, people might be listening to you and they're like, oh, well, Lola's got it all figured out and she's never had a struggle. There was never a hard moment. One way or the other, what advice can you give to somebody who might feel torn, like they just don't know how they can step into their passion and purpose? And at the same time, if you can maybe share an experience where it wasn't all, rose-colored glasses and things were a little rough at one point.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to be as open and candid about my experience as possible. Entrepreneurship is, it's not easy, and I'm in the fashion industry, which is one of the most difficult and cutthroat industries, period. I remember interviewing like on just a different podcast where I was talking about my New York Fashion Week experience and how, oh my gosh, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. My clothes arrived late, damaged, in the wrong size. I mean, the day before the show, we were up all night having to rip clothes apart and re-sew them. I remember the first night of our show, the hair and makeup artist didn't show up. So the girls, we were doing each other's makeup. My husband was styling hair. I mean, when I tell you there's so many things that, I mean, and that's just one experience, right? That I can talk about. Again, in that moment, it was just remembering to pivot. In that moment, it was remembering my why. When everything's going on, it's, you got to keep going. You got to keep going because this is what you know that you're called and meant and you believe that you're supposed to do here in the world. And I think that right there is also what just helped me take the leap in the first place. It's very scary. I'm a self-funded business 100%. I have no investors. It's all me and my little credit card debt. And and it's scary and it's risky. And, Of course, I'm sure people hear all the time, oh, like businesses, you don't make any money for the first 3 years. Absolutely true. I'm on year 2. I have not broken even yet. And it's crazy to be like, well, why are you keep going? Why are you still going? And I've taken a lot of losses. I've been through 3 manufacturers in 3 different countries. I pivoted so much from a bunch of different losses. And again, it's all such a risk. But I think what just really propelled me to do it is just knowing this feeling that you are called to do something higher and better than where you came from. And I think that when I made the decision to become an entrepreneur, to start my own business in one of the most difficult industries ever, on top of that, it was just coming from this place of knowing. So I think also when people are, you're feeling torn and you're like, well, I don't know if I should just follow this linear path and select a career for the money or whatever, or do I become a quote starving artist, or, do I pursue what is really passionate? Do I try to start my own little business? Who said you couldn't do both? No one ever said that one was mutually exclusive. I am this quote unquote starving artist in a pre-revenue business doing something that brings me passion and joy because I believe in what I'm doing and that this is my calling. But I'm also putting in my work and putting my head down and doing the things that I need to do to make it happen. And so I know that my day job isn't my forever place. I know that I'm not going to die a marketing manager, right? I'm not even going to die a fashion designer or a business owner. I know that I'm just called to do so much more, and that what I'm doing in my career is going to help me get there. Even though it might not directly correlate for some people, because, for me, marketing into fashion, yeah, there's transferable skills. Someone could be going from finance to culinary, right? But you have to just remind yourself that whatever you're doing in finance, whether it's the money you're making, the people you're meeting, whatever, it can help you in culinary. Those could be future private chefing clients one day, or people who come to your restaurant, if that's your passion, is to open a restaurant one day. I think it's just not limiting yourself, not feeling like you have to pick one or the other, and just allowing yourself to be. Just allowing yourself to say, listen, this is my career right now. It's okay that I don't like it. It's okay that I feel like I'm called to do more. This isn't my passion. This isn't my purpose. But I'm going to use what I can here while I'm simultaneously working on what I am passionate about. And that doesn't mean be like me and work like a lot of hours or anything like that. It just means to start somewhere. Whatever it is, if you are just like, I want to be an artist, it just means picking up the pencil after work and drawing, sketching, writing your feelings. If again you're passionate about like culinary, it's just getting in the kitchen. It's just buying the supplies. It's just taking one small step towards what you're passionate about. And eventually, if you keep giving 10% every day and 10% every day, it adds up. 10% over time, eventually you get to 100, like you get to where you want to be. So I think it's just reminding yourself that you don't have to feel stuck in where you are now. You can take where you are now and use that to get where you want to be. And you don't have to choose. Like you can decide to do both, to do what's best for your like root chakra and your stability and your living and your survival, while also trying to pursue what's good for your head and your heart and your third eye and, your bigger sense of self.
I love how you said that. I'm ending there because I don't even want to mess it up. What you said was perfect. I couldn't agree more. Duality. We have to consider duality. It's not just A or B. It can be AB. Okay. Yeah. It can be BA. Okay. It can be A-B. There are so many ways to configure things, but for some reason, we are so focused on the black and the white. And so shifting our mindset to see duality, to see multiple possibilities, that is where we're going. I love that. All right, let's dig into rapid fire. Oh my God. Best book you've ever read?
Oh, it is The Art of Uncertainty by Dennis Merritt Jones. It is about just embracing things when you don't have all the answers, embracing the unknown and using it to your advantage.
Oh, perfect segue. Okay, we're gonna look it up. Okay, what's your favorite way to fill your cup?
Ooh, delegation.
You're like, not for me. Let's give that to somebody else. Okay,
Yes.
in 3 words, what's your version of a healthy life?
Love, passion, and purpose.
I love it. I love it. All right, last question. It's just a fun one. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I am allergic to pineapple. I
Oh,
am also gluten and dairy free.
oh no.
So
Oh no. We're just gonna
none of
edit
that.
this one out. It's okay. I'll have the pizza and the pineapple for you. It's all good. Lola, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I want you to tell people how can they find you? How can they learn more about your work, learn more about your fashion line, all of the stuff.
Yes. So you can find me on social media, Instagram, TikTok. It's Lola J Dominguez, my full name. And you can find my brand Domivis online as well at domivis.com. And that's also how you can find us on social media.
Okay, awesome. So all of the links for everything Lola will be in the show notes. So please go find out how you can connect with her, how you can learn more about her clothing, and just support her because she's doing great things. Lola, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for so much for coming on the show. And to the listeners, continue to serve yourself, your loved ones, and your communities from a full cup.